Mastering Poetry by Sarah Thorne is the textbook of the course of poetry for first grade students at the College of Basic Education English Language Department. There are several definitions of poetry, among which we choose the simplest as metrical writing, verse, where we have the production of a poet is called poem or a poem, and the thing. There are other definitions by the Merriam-Webster dictionary, or simply we can define poetry as a form of writing vital to culture, art, and life as is defined by poets.org. Discussing the distinctive features of poetry, we have end-stopped lines and run-on lines, where the first refers to lines of verse in which the meaning or the grammatical structure ends by the end of the line, and we have punctuation mark indicating that, such as a full stop or an exclamation mark, and so on. As for the run-on lines, we have the meaning or the grammatical structure continuous to the next line, and that means we don't have a punctuation mark at the end of the line indicating that the meaning or grammatical structure has ended. That's why we call it run-on lines. As for form, under form we have stressed and unstressed syllables, we have metrical feet, and rhythm. We also have caesura, and the caesura is a stop within the verse or the poetry line. A caesura occurs when we have a punctuation mark at the beginning of the line, where we have an initial caesura, or at the middle of the line, where we have a middle caesura, and so on. However, simply we can look at caesura as a stop within the verse or the poetry line, marked by the presence of a punctuation mark. As has just been mentioned, under form we have stressed and unstressed syllables. By that we mean that in poetry we look at the emphasized or stressed or strong syllables and the weak, unstressed, unemphasized or not emphasized syllables, the consequence of which in certain patterns contribute to the making of the feet, which are in their turn the building blocks used to make the meter of a poem and eventually the rhythm of the line within a poem and the rhythm of the poem as a whole. To give examples, we have, for example, the word poetry. We have the first part of the word stressed being a noun. So poetry, not poetry. So nouns usually have the stress at the beginning of the word. Another example is the word exports. So if it is a noun, because it's one of the words that come as verb and noun based on the context. So if we look at the word exports as a noun, we say exports, while if it is a verb, we say exports. So exports of Iraq are high in 2024, or we say Iraq exports many goods. Metrical feet. Metrical feet are the building blocks of poetic meter because they consist of patterns of stressed and unstressed syllables. The common metrical feet include أ.م.د, which is unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. For example, today, today. Trochi or troki, a stressed syllable followed by an unstressed syllable, for example, tiger, tiger. In a past, two unstressed syllables followed by a stressed syllable, for example, understand, understand. Dictel, a stressed syllable followed by two unstressed syllables, merrily, merrily. Spondy, two stressed syllables, uh, such as true love, true love. So each foot has a certain sequence of stressed and unstressed syllables, as shown. I am is unstressed followed by a stressed syllable, and so on, as has just been mentioned and is demonstrated. Now, the way in which the stressed and unstressed syllables are arranged throughout feet and the repetition of these feet or the um, position of these feet in a verse in a line of poetry make the rhythm. So rhythm in poetry refers to the pattern of stress and unstressed syllables that create a musical quality or flow within the poem. And as we have mentioned, it's the arrangement of syllables and accents that give the poem its pace and cadence. After we understood what foot is, and we have different type of feet, such as spondy, which is stressed syllable, a sequence of two stressed syllables. We come to the meter. So we have the number of repetitions or the times the same foot occurs within a line of poetry is referred to as meter. So we have monometer, where we have one metrical feet. For example, iamb monometer, iambic motometer, the sun, the sun. So we have the unstressed, sun, stressed, the sun, unstressed, stressed. In a diameter, a line of verse consists of two metrical feet. So if we take, for example, a trochaic diameter, it means we have a trochaic foot repeated twice. A trochaic foot is the stressed, unstressed syllables in a consequence. The other times of repetition or meter in poetry are trimeter, that is 3 times repetition of a foot, tetrameter, 4 times repetition of a foot, pentameter is 5. We also have hexameter, that is 6, heptameter, that is 7, and octameter, that is 8 times occurrence of the same foot within a verse. Now let's have some examples of rhythm and meter. If we have iambic pentameter, it means we have 5 iambs, and that means 10 syllables, unstressed followed by stressed. The time of year thou mayest in me behold. As for a trochaic tetrameter, it means we have 4 trochees, that is 8 syllables. Tell me not in mournful numbers, tell me not in mournful numbers. Anapestic triameter means 3 anapests, that is 9 syllables, because an anapest consists of 3 syllables, unstressed, unstressed, stressed. Repeated 3 times, it means 9 syllables. And the sound of a voice that is still, and the sound of a voice that is still. Now we come to poetic form. In poetic form, we have end rhyme, blank verse, free verse, and end rhyme is one type of rhyme that is the most common in poetry. It occurs when the first line rhymes with the third, the second rhymes with the fourth. As in these verses, the people along the sand all turn and look one way. They turn their back on the land. They look at the sea all day. So we have the words sand and land rhymed together, way and day. A, way, day, a. So the sound of uh, uh, the end sound of each line rhymes with another one, such as sand, land, way, day. Can you tell me which meter is followed here and what kind of feet are employed within these verses? Now we have blank verse and free verse. Blank verse does not have a rhyme, while it follows a strict pattern of a meter that is iambic pentameter, a pentameter, that is 10 syllables in each lines of the kind iamb. Free verse, on the other hand, does not follow any strict meter pattern, nor it has any uh, rhyme distinctive to the poems that are known as free verse. Thank you. Looking forward to meeting you again in another part of the poetry series of lectures.